Welcome to Aging Gayfully. We're about adventure, leisure, travel, being a citizen of the world, traveling to destinations, and being a part of the global community as we age and prosper in body, mind, and spirit.
Welcome to Aging Gayfully. I'm Josh.
And I am Chris.
Hello, Chris. How are you doing today, my sir?
I am surviving the weather in South Florida. How is Central Florida
Well,
doing?
we're okay, but we do have what is it? Is it still a tropical storm, Debbie, that is threatening the dangling appendage that's Florida?
Debbie Downer, yes. It's over on the West Coast, but we're getting some remnants on the East Coast. I don't know about you.
It's supposed to rain on and off all day today, but we won't feel anything probably until tomorrow morning, which is Monday at the time of this recording. So by the time you all hear this, this will be ancient history.
And then we'll be looking for the next
That's
hurricane.
right. Chris, you can see here I'm growing out my beard. I guess I'm inspired by your snowy white badge of wisdom that you have on your face there. Growing out my beard.
You have the type of whiskers, from what I've gathered over the last year and a half since we've gotten to know each other, that you could, and you've done this, I've seen you do this, where you're clean shaven one day, and then within a week, your beard or mustache or goatee is growing and in full bloom. So you've got some heavy whiskers, I would say.
Yeah, that's the curse of high testosterone, I
Oh my
suppose.
goodness.
But pretty early on, like I was 19 when I discovered that I was, my hairline was receding. It was beating a retreat up my head. And I carried on for, I guess, 2 years where as it was going back, I was starting to do interesting construction projects with the hair on my
Yeah.
head and with product because, I didn't wanna let it go, and it just got more and more ridiculous until I did have, what was starting to become a pretty classic comb over. And then one day I'm watching tennis and I see Andre Agassi and he made it okay. And so bada bing, bada boom, I took the hair off. Then now the only thing I have up near the top of my body to style is my facial hair. And so I'm kind of like one of those, Frankie Fuzzy things that has the little magnetic wand and the little metal shavings and it's a kid's toy and you can move the metal shavings around Frankie Fuzzy's head and you can create a mustache or a beard. Surely you know this toy that I'm
Well,
talking about.
yeah, because I couldn't really grow a beard until I got into my 60s. I guess I tried when
What?
I was younger, would never come in.
But now it's such a staple. You're very Gandalfian. You are such a
Well, I
staple of who
appreciate you
you
saying
are.
that because I've always wanted to have a beard, and then I've always been attracted to men that have beards or mustaches. And now I look in the mirror and say, "Hey, I got it going on."
Little self love there, baby.
Hey, you got to have the self love. It's what it's important.
And sometimes, more than others. But anyway, so I thought it'd be interesting if we kind of spur of the moment here gave our top 5 beards of history. Top 5 beards of history.
Oh goodness.
Now I'm not talking about, in the other sense of it. I don't want you to like list Lisa Marie Presley as one of them. Not that kind of beard. I'm talking about facial hair beards, top 5 in history.
See, you've done your homework. Me. It's going to be off the top of my bald head. So I got to think of some. I've got to think of some beards here. So
All right.
might be just some of the guys I've been watching on Instagram, and I don't know how, I don't know how famous they are, but I do like watching their looking at their photos. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it's their beard you're looking at. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and start here with Santa Claus. Every child is familiar with the jolly fat elf with a big old beard that looks quite like yours. And Santa Claus has to be one of the most iconic bearded figures in all of history. I mean, that cuts through cultures, religious
Mhm.
belief, age groups. Everyone knows about Santa.
How could I argue with that?
All right, so give me one.
Moses.
Ooh, very good. Does Moses on Instagram? I don't know.
No,
If,
I'm dipping into my seminary days. That vision of Moses with the Ten Commandments, with the beard flowing,
which in most people's minds is Charlton Heston.
which is most people's. That is so true. Yeah.
Maybe you're just thinking of Charlton Heston.
Well, I guess his image did come up in one sense because you did relate it well. You think of you think of Moses, you think of Charleston Heston. So yeah,
All right, my second one, again in no particular order, a figure that is also closely related with Santa Claus in a way. Jesus. I think that we know that Jesus had a beard. I think that there's maybe one or two little thingy things in the Bible that tell us so. But if he was like any other male of his day, then he had a beard, and I pretty much think that, you step into any church and you're likely to find that cheesy looking picture of laughing Jesus with his beard. And if you've never been to a church or set foot in one, it's a thing, it exists. Or even into a Catholic church and you will see, the iconic Jesus on the cross there. So
yeah.
Jesus is my number 2 right behind Santa Claus. Try not to read anything into that.
Jesus and Santa Claus. That could definitely spark some conversation.
I mean, they're hanging out at the same holiday party. Who's your number 2?
Who is my number two? He's a kind of a fictional character. He's one of the actors in the Harry Potter.
Okay, so is it Dumbledore?
Well, he would be one, but then there was another.
I can't think of any other oh, Hagrid,
Yes,
played by what was the Robbie Coltrane.
yes,
Ooh,
that's
listen,
it.
all that useless knowledge in
Mhm.
this big old melon head here. It's why I don't have hair. Hagrid, why do you choose Hagrid?
Because his beard was just everywhere.
Certainly was, and he was kind of like the giant protector figure in that series, and also like had a
Hmm.
hint of innocence, and yeah, he's that was a good, well written character. As much as I have genuine amounts of distaste for the author of that series, the characters created are pretty iconic. And strangely enough, you have a generation or two of kids who are very much into tolerance and acceptance and understanding of those people who are marginalized because of that series. And yet, of course, the author is doesn't practice that same bit of understanding and compassion.
That's
So
right.
there you go. All right, my next one
Yeah,
is closely related to Santa and Jesus.
yeah.
Rasputin,
Rasputin. Goodness gracious, Saint Ignatius. That's a good one.
the
Yeah.
Russian, how should we describe him? He's very much, he cuts a very distinctive figure throughout history, especially and including the fact that he had to be killed several times.
Hmm.
Rasputin.
Rasputin. Goodness.
All right, who's your third?
I'm going to stay in the gray category,
Very good.
and the creator Alexander Graham Bell.
Without whom we would not probably be talking today, right? Would we say that the telephone is the genesis of the modern communications movement? Certainly wasn't the telegraph.
I would say yes.
Now, unfortunately, I think that we have found out that he had rather distasteful views around eugenics. You know what I always say? If I ever get a tattoo, I've drawn this picture, and I think I've shown it to you, but I don't know. It's got a picture of someone who's next on my list, and
Yeah.
on this figure's forehead is written, "No heroes, only truth," because people are going to let you down, because people are people and people are fallible, and not only are they products of their time, they're also products of what people have done to them as they were raised.
Right.
Don't
Hmm.
elevate people because they will let you down, but take the truths that they espouse and elevate that. So we recognize that Alexander Graham Bell was a
Hmm.
great inventor and he furthered humanity, and yet he had unfortunate thoughts about human beings. So what are you going to do?
I think we're just going to pay attention to the beard.
That's right. That's exactly right. My next person is the person that I said I would get a tattoo of, and that is Abraham Lincoln.
You just took what my next one. Yeah.
Again, very, very iconic beard. His beard was so iconic, he didn't even need a mustache. That is how iconic his beard was.
Yeah. He very iconic. The next one for me, really, his beard really stuck out as he aged was Sean Connery.
Oh, Sean Connery, of course.
Who was the last president to have a beard?
I don't know. It might be like someone back in the day, like Grover Cleveland or something.
Yeah.
Definitely after Lincoln, but I don't know who the last president to have.
I just looked it up. Howard Taft. In fact, he was the last one to have any facial hair.
Oh, very good, very good.
Okay.
Okay, my last bearded person is kind of in the same vein, I think, of philosophical thought, and that is Charles Darwin. Had a
Charles
giant old
Darwin.
beard he did.
Yeah, he did have a giant beard.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course he is looms large on the landscape of history. So Charles Darwin is my last bearded gentleman. Who is your last top 5 beard of history?
Well, this person didn't often have a beard, but and
Oh,
he had one of the best mustaches in um, as an actor, and occasionally there was some movies he was in that it was a beard. He had a beard, but always had an affinity for Wilford Brimley.
oh, not where I thought you were going. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Now, I'm only familiar with Wilford Brimley because he was in a show back in the 80s, and I don't even remember what show it was. And then he was in Cocoon, which was a fun little film about seniors discovering an alien egg.
yeah. He had a show called Our
Right.
House
I remember that.
with Deidre Hall, who was what's the soap opera on NBC, Days of Our Lives, and then Shannon Doherty was in that
Yep.
show also, and she just unfortunately passed away from cancer. But I remember the first time remember seeing Wilford Brimley in film was in the China Syndrome with Jane
Oh,
Fonda.
interesting. Okay, I never saw that. Never saw that.
Yeah, and then he was also he was in a railroad. He was in tons of movies, but I remember him with his beard in a railroad movie with Kevin Bacon, and I can't think of the name of that movie right off the top of my head. But maybe your movie buffs on your other podcast would probably know that.
Perhaps, perhaps, perhaps. So there you go. Top 5 beards of history. Do you have an opinion of a beard that we did not mention? Like, for example, Elton John's first wife. I don't know. Go ahead and get in touch with us. Aging Gayfully. Wait, what is? Yes, I am. Let me get the email.
Yes, I am at
Yes, I am at
aginggayfully.com. This is kind of
aginggayfully.com.
fun.
Now on
Yeah.
to our little bit more serious topic here. It's a thing that you and I have been talking about off air here. That is the idea of finding fulfillment.
Yes.
Now, I work with folks who are at the point in their lives where they've retired, and it's one of those things that's so interesting to see the progression of someone being very excited that they no longer have to work and then very quickly trying to find something to fill the void that came from the fulfillment that they got from doing their work. Or conversely, people who feel like that they've slogged away at a job for decades and now I'm retired and I'm going to do something that I really want to do. And the common root, of course, is the fact that people just want to be feel joy and being able to contribute back to the world, back to society. Fulfillment and finding fulfillment, I think, is just one of those things that we don't talk enough about.
Well, I'm kind of going through this myself these days, and your fulfillment? Is it more internal or external? And what I mean by that is what makes you fulfilled? Do you live to work or work to live? I think is the other type of way of looking at that.
And maybe it's connected to this idea of finding out and figuring out what why are we here? What's the meaning of, and maybe even not why are we here universally? Why am I here as a little bald man on this earth? What's my purpose? And then am I doing everything I can to accomplish that purpose? And then if I do that, then I feel like I've been useful. I've been helpful. I've done the thing that I'm supposed to do.
And that whole, I think that comes back to finding meaning in life. Where where is your meaning? Does it Are you doing work that is fulfilling, that um, allows you to come home and enjoy your life? I don't know. It's I think it's different for everybody, and some people are able to turn work life off the minute that they walk out of work. That just something just hit me personally about turning stuff off. So I guess that was a good thing to reminisce, because you really do have control over what you you feel like you can do and what you have to do versus what you don't want to do. And that's changed for me as I've gotten older.
How so?
Well, let's just kind of, for me personally, I've always felt like I needed to be somewhat selective on where I was going to work, because and when I was in my 20s and 30s, not being out. And now in my 60s, I don't really give a flying F. But some of that is still ingrained in you about watching your P's and Q's and being efficient. But as you get older, you just kind of say, I want to do what's fulfilling and makes me happy. Unlearning behavior from the past can be challenging in order to live a fulfilled life. And I think, just for me personally, it's unlearning behaviors in the past, wanting to feel accepted, or knowing your talents and skills. I don't know if we've shared this before, but discovering that I was dyslexic at 55 changed my perspective on a variety of things, on my early development in grade school and high school and college, and where I placed myself. I wish somebody said, "Well, aren't you mad about that?" I said, "No, I actually that was freeing. It was freeing to learn I was dyslexic at 55." But how do you unlearn some of those things that impacted you?
I don't think we ever have talked about. I'm intensely curious. Like, what made you even like? How did that happen? How did you find out at 55? What? How did that go?
Well, the story is actually kind of funny, as most stories tend to be. Uh, I was working for a social service agency in Fort Lauderdale. Simultaneously, I was finishing up my thesis and my work with Gonzaga. And then one of the students that I was working on a project with asked me, had I ever been tested for dyslexia? I said, well, no. Why would you? What makes you say that to me? He says, well, I've noticed in your writing that you have some traits for dyslexia. And writing was always somewhat hard. I knew writing was always somewhat hard for me. I've always been better at the spoken word than the written word. It was in the back of my mind. And then one day I'm standing at the copy machine at the social service agency. I'm trying to copy a document, because the copy machine didn't do front and back. So you had to flip it over and turn. So I'm standing at the copy machine, and the woman who was the director of she was the director of all the therapists. She's standing there watching me struggle with trying to how to get this paper into the right position to copy correctly. And she just looked at me and she said, come into my office. she just asked me about what was going on there. I said, "Oh, that's just something I've always kind of struggled with trying to find, the right position on the." So she pulled up a test for dyslexia. I passed with flying colors. It was a diagnosis of dyslexia, and at its highest form. We had many sessions about this, and how to. She wanted to know how I've dealt with this most of my life, and what's the impact. And she had asked me, "Did you, when you were growing up, did you find yourself being yelled at a lot, all the time? Why did you take the trash out and set the trash cans backwards?" Well, they weren't backwards to me.
Mm.
So I know we're kind of getting off topic here, but I think we're kind of all of a product of our learned behavior.
I don't know that that's off topic. Part of the reality, I think, is that part of being fulfilled and finding fulfillment is really knowing yourself.
Right.
Whenever we have one of these meandering conversations, a lot of times we go back to the root of things as we're talking, which is why I love talking to you, because it's never just it's never just simple with you. But it's the kind of complicated that really, I think, helps me understand that most of these issues that we deal with in life go back to the very foundational issue of we have to know ourselves. We have to know who we are. We have to know our special skills, our special
Right.
talents, our challenges, the things that tick us off, and then what the root cause of those things are. All of it goes back to we have to know ourselves. And, this whole idea of aging gayfully is being who you are in a world that doesn't always accept that. And oftentimes, makes it difficult to really freely discover who you are. So to me, this is all interconnected
Yeah.
and this is all on topic.
Yeah. So, when I look back as a kid, always being around people who were older than me, much older than me, my siblings, parents, you always thought that, oh, life's going to get so much better when you get older because you're going to know more. Well, in one sense, that's true. You will know more, but we make life better by celebrating our talents and skills.
From there, then we start to understand or maybe get an insight into our purpose and where our meaning comes from based on just us knowing ourselves and then also knowing
Yeah,
humanity. And that's the other thing. We're all interconnected, and we all, we have so many things in common. And the foundational things, of course, are we all want connection and we all want purpose, connection and purpose, and we all want to feel safe. Those are the things.
I've learned through the years of being in the care space that people want three things. They want to feel it and they want to give it: love, care, and commitment. When you talk about care per se, that's when a lot of these boundaries are broken down, especially when somebody is ill or facing a life changing diagnosis or a life changing event. It sounds corny, but it really does come down to something that two, three things that are very simplistic: love, care, and commitment. Everybody wants to feel it, everybody wants to give it. Everything else really is BS.
Or cake, depending on on how you choose to look at it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, that does our time for today. Chris, how can people get a hold of us?
Well, it's pretty simple. You just go knock on Josh's front door, and he'll open the door and fix you dinner and have you. No, wait, no, that's all. No. It's just let's just. 'Cause Amanda might be mad at that one, but just give us a jingle at yes I am at aginggayfully.com. Yes I am at aginggayfully.com.
Very good, very good. And then perhaps, one of these days we'll come visit you. Who knows?
That would be fun for sure.
All right, well, until the next time, I'm Josh. That's the Hall of Famer, Chris. And we will try our best to stay safe through this giant blow that we're about to get from Debbie. And we will talk to you soon.
Be careful talking like that.
Why? What's wrong? What's happened?
Nothing. I'm
Okay.
just having fun.
All right. We'll talk
Just
to y'all
having
later.
fun.
Bye.
Okay. See you for our next episode soon.